I'm really excited about teaching ELA this year. It's going to be a good year. Last year was quite the challenge with COVID. We did some Zoom teaching, which I did not enjoy very much. It was like a pivot into technology. So I thought I was good with technology before all of this, but having to learn how to get on the Zoom calls, how to do the Google Classroom, how to do the PowerPoint presentations. It was a lot of learning for me as a teacher, which, as a teacher, I think we are truly lifelong learners. But last year I felt like it was my whole life in one year. I had to learn a whole lot. As a teacher, I had to learn a lot to be able to deliver the information to the students. So I think as a teacher, if I had that experience, it was probably a lot for parents to now all of a sudden have their child at home trying to set up the computer or whatever kind of technology with the Wi-Fi to be able to have their children sit in front of a computer for so many hours a day. I'm sure all of that was very, very challenging. It was challenging for me as a student, but I want to also acknowledge that it was a challenge for parents, it was a challenge for students. And so this year, I am so looking forward to being in the classroom live and in person. That's going to be something to
What
see.
What did you hear from parents last year? Some of the
Um,
challenges that you heard.
the Wi-Fi, the attention span, the workload, those were all very challenging for parents as well as their children, you know.
So going into this year, how is it going to be different from last
Well,
year?
for me as a teacher, I am hoping to still incorporate and use technology, but I think having the live bodies, being able to walk up and down, being able to hear from my students, being able to sense them in person is going to help me and is going to help the parents. I always say teamwork makes the dream work. It's the teachers, the parents, and the child. We all are participating in this one child's education. It can't just be the teachers teaching, it can't just be the parents, and it can't just be the students. It's a collaborative effort on all of our parts. And as a teacher, basic is not good enough. Mastery is what we're shooting for. And so I'm going to set my expectations high, day one up front. And I'm also going to start with the end in mind. The first day of school, I'm going to be talking to the children about next year you're going to be in the fifth grade, or next year you're going to be in the next grade. So all that we learned this year is going to prepare you for next year. So I want to start with that backwards education. Like I want to start with the end in mind. So the first day of school, we're prepping you so that next year you're going to be in the next grade, you know?
But doesn't the Delta variant and COVID and all the mystery around all the different strains, doesn't that impact learning? Like,
So yes, I believe that we lost a lot last year because of COVID, and I'm not sure that my children are going to start where they need to be. I think that some of them may be behind. So I have some things planned for the first 2 weeks of school, at least probably like the first month, but definitely for the first 2 weeks of school, I have some exercises planned so that I can get a good sense of where my children are, and then I'll probably separate them out according to my findings based on what I'm finding with the students that I'm going to work with. I'm gonna give some writing assignments. I'm also gonna give some reading assignments. They had a summer reading list, and I'm not sure if who read, who didn't read, but after these first 2 weeks of me collecting the data and processing it, I'll be able to clearly articulate where my kids are and be able to work with them accordingly. Like, I don't think we're all going to be on the same page. I think some children missed a lot. I don't think a lot of children got what they needed from that whole Zoom experience. But hopefully, us being in the classroom together, I'll be able to help them catch up. The school that I'm teaching at also is going to do some small group pullouts to try to help those people that are behind to be able to catch up. So I'm looking forward to working with those teachers as well, making sure that that team is really being solidified, that the teachers, the parents, and the children are all contributing to that education.
and I know you're going to a new school setting, but that still, to accomplish what you want to accomplish, that still requires parent participation, right? So you would you notify parents like, hey, I think Jimmy is a little behind in this, and this is what we're doing.
Yes, so right now before school has started, we just did a parent orientation, and I talked about this. I talked about the team. I talked about assessing the children, And I also am going to use Class Dojo and Clever and some other electronic resources to be in communication with the parents so they can see in real time what I'm doing on a daily basis. They'll be able to log in and see the assignments, see how their child performed, to see what's going on so that it's not like they're going to wait to get the progress report or a report card. They'll be able to see along the way what's happening with their child.
What about protections in the classroom physically? Will you have your Purells and
Yeah, so last year I had a station set up in the rear part of my classroom that had wipes, it had paper towels, it had hand sanitizer, and it had Kleenex. And I did a group restroom run. And even if you didn't have to use the bathroom, you still had to wash your hands. And I found that to be very, very effective. Also, last year, each one of my child had a mask that I gave to each child. I had a mask with their name on it in a Ziploc bag. And I hope to be able to install that same exercise this year. Each child will be masked up. They'll be able to use as much of the wipes and the sanitizer, the hand sanitizer, as they want. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to keep our germs down. I've been trying to figure out how to make my class socially distanced. Now, last year I had individual desks and I was able to arrange them, but at the school that I'm working at this year, they have some small tables. So I'm still trying to figure that out about the socially distanced part of it, but we definitely will be wearing masks and following that protocol this year.
and you're pretty certain that they will be distanced in some capacity, right?
Oh yeah, even the little tables. I was thinking maybe I will only put two people to a table and they'll sit on the far ends of the table. But then I'm trying to figure out how to arrange that so that everybody is spaced apart.
Okay.
So, but as best as to my ability, I don't know what the count is yet. But like last year, I had 23 students in a class, so I was able to spread everybody out.
Okay. So overall, you're optimistic about this school year.
Oh, I am. I feel so much better that we're going to be in person with the learning. I was not a huge fan of the online learning. I felt like it was a good alternative, but I'm a greater fan of being in the classroom. I think that there's some things that you get walking up and down the aisles, standing over them participating, you hearing them read or write, you checking their stuff, so they're getting immediate feedback. So I think being in the classroom is going to be a greater experience. Yeah. And I think the children will be able to go home and tell their parents what they learned today. The parents will be able to check in with the teachers. So, yeah, I think it's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to it.